start changing things up today temperature-wise if you're near the coast or in the city. Look at daytime highs today. Going back to 75 or 76 for San Francisco and 66 in Half Moon Bay. Those numbers don't stand out on their own, but they are significantly different than where you were yesterday. It's an 11-degree drop for Half Moon Bay today. You were 77 yesterday. And San Francisco, you'll be 5 degrees cooler than yesterday's 81. However, look at the rest of the bay. You actually warm up if you're inland. Look at those numbers over there. For inland Contra Costa County, you'll be about 4 or 5 degrees warmer today. Look at the numbers down in the Tri-Valley. You're going to be just about 5 degrees warmer than you were yesterday. Look at the Santa Clara Valley. Those numbers are going to be about 2 degrees or so warmer. We'll put some actual daytime highs on those, and you can see that means you're pretty much going right back up to 90s again for daytime highs. So that's where things stand in terms of the temperatures for today. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, get an idea on what happens next. And if we know that today is just a little warmer than yesterday for our inland microclimates. You've got that 90 over here. Saturday's not all that different, but then you will cool down. And by the time we get into early next week, temperatures will have come back down to pretty much average.
Tonight, you have the chance to see San Francisco come alive with not one, but 2 night markets celebrating different cultures within the AAPI community. We've already seen the popularity of the Chinatown Night Market this year. It takes place the second Friday of every month. It all started during the APEC Summit last fall, and it was so popular they decided to make it a regular event. Vendors are hoping these markets will bring more people and much-needed business to areas still recovering from the pandemic. So now you can enjoy 2 night markets this evening, with Bhangra and Beats coming back as well, celebrating South Asian culture with local vendors' food and dance. Vicky Virk loves every chance she gets to share her culture. She's been performing and choreographing for 2 decades in the Bay Area. Bhangra is a folk dance from northern India and one of the styles she likes to showcase.
I love it because it's really beautiful. It is very graceful. It's colorful.
This particular dance is a combination of folk dances from Punjab, India, and will be part of the Bhangra and Beats Night Market on Friday. Back for a second year in 2024, it will take over 3 city blocks in downtown San Francisco for a night every 2 months until November.
You know, this is a beautiful city, and yeah, it's had its downtime, and obviously every city goes through that, but San Francisco is truly a remarkable city. It's full of community and culture and music and arts, and I think if there's anything that can bring life back to something, it's the arts.
And on its first night of the year, it will share the stage with another night market in Chinatown, part of a growing trend to get more people into San Francisco with special events.
I think there's space for all of it. I think it's amazing to see arts and music being celebrated, and then just, you know, bringing people back into the city of San Francisco to remember that this is a very vibrant, beautiful city that we all live in.
Vicky hopes people will come for the music, food, and live performances, celebrating not just her South Asian heritage, but cultures from around the world in honor of AAPI Heritage Month. You can even join in on a group dance lesson during the night market. Dances that she says captures the mood of the night, joy and celebration.
The world needs music, the world needs the arts, the world needs community, and the world needs culture.
True to the tradition she's bringing to Battery Street on Friday night. Well, speaking of entertainment in the city, the summer season is just around the corner, and that means on Sundays, you'll be able to go to the Stern Grove Festival. It's been a San Francisco staple dating back to 1938, and today on our morning edition, we had a first look at the lineup for this year's summer series. Chicano Batman, Herbie Hancock, and Shaka Khan, just to name a few. The executive director of the Stern Grove Festival, Bob Fiedler, came by to talk about what makes this summer weekend series stand out.
All of our shows are free, and again, that's the special thing about Stern Grove Festival in this day and age of really expensive concert tickets. You know, last year we had almost 100,000 people come out and enjoy free live music. We hope that our season bridges cultural gaps and generational gaps and just, you know, offers something for everyone.
So here's another look at that full lineup. It all kicks off with indie pop rock duo Tegan and Sarah on June 23rd, then alternative band Chicano Batman the following Sunday, and it ends with R&B soul artist Shaka Khan on August 25th. Remember, if you can't make it to the shows in person, we'll carry them all live on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 and stream it on the free CBS News app. Coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, a community in the Santa Cruz Mountains cut off by a winter landslide.
There's no way to get out. I mean, we'd have to carry everything or leave it.
They've been living like this for months, why a fix is nowhere near. Plus, mother and daughters working together side by side to breathe new life into a Bay Area neighborhood. And it all started with a special request. I'm Sean Chitness, and this is The Minute. San Francisco Unified School District is projecting a $420 million budget deficit within the next year. According to the San Francisco Examiner, they'll need to lay off more than 300 employees and close some schools. The district tells us it's taking steps to remain financially secure for now. BART is getting a boost for its extension in the South Bay. The Biden administration is sending $500 million to help fund the 6-mile, 4-station extension from San Jose to Santa Clara. BTA officials say early construction is set to start this spring. And Governor Gavin Newsom is threatening to sue the city or take legal action with the city of Half Moon Bay. This comes after city officials delayed votes on a project to construct affordable housing for farm workers. Poor working conditions were brought to light after the deadly mushroom farm shootings. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
Well, we started to notice a change today thanks to the marine layer having built in just along the coast and in through the Golden Gate today. It does have a big influence on daytime highs if you live along the coast or even in the city today. Going to 66 degrees in Half Moon Bay, and that is a 76 for San Francisco. Those numbers don't really stand out all that much until you take into consideration it was 77 degrees yesterday in Half Moon Bay, and it was 81 yesterday in San Francisco. So you're going to feel a cool down if you live anywhere near the water, but look inland. You don't really notice much of a change. Not only that, you're actually going to warm up. Concord, Antioch, Livermore, Fremont, even Redwood City. You guys actually see your numbers climb a few degrees today as a result of still being under the influence of the center of high pressure overhead. So your numbers are still in the upper 80s. There is some help coming though, and we'll see that as we get into the 7-day forecast. By Sunday, the numbers that are inland are going to start coming back down. And even along the coast, everybody's going to get a noticeable cool down over the next few days. So let's put it into a 7-day forecast, and we'll come away with a perspective on the change. You need to wait for Sunday if you're inland and you want to see the numbers really become noticeably cooler, because for the next few days, you're pretty much right in the same spot. But by Sunday, you're down to the low 80s. By Monday and Tuesday, your numbers are back to pretty much average. We may warm up a little bit by the middle of next week. So that's a look at the inland microclimate. Let's switch this out now, and we'll take a look at the 7-day forecast for the Bay. And as we do that, you'll notice that the difference is similar in terms of the trend. By Sunday, you're noticeably cooler, back down into the low 60s, and you'll pretty much stay there going through the remainder of the 7-day forecast from then on.
Well, even amid this spring heat, a number of neighborhoods throughout the Bay Area are still dealing with the after effects of winter storms. That is especially true for people living along Mountain Charlie Road in the Santa Cruz Mountains. That's where a massive landslide has cut a community in half. For people living in that area, even a minor errand has become a major inconvenience. They either have to hike across an active landslide or drive miles out of the way. It's even worse for the families who can't drive in and out of their driveways because the slide is nearly on their doorsteps. Our Devin Feely talked to neighbors there.
We've never had this kind of an issue or cracking of any kind, or it kind of is out of nowhere.
Amanda Watson is one of the 13 people who live in the half-dozen homes directly above the slide on Mountain Charlie Road.
Going in and out, it's been challenging is an understatement. It's hard to, really express how this has affected every single part of our lives.
Amanda says the road began to fail in late February, first beginning with a spider's web of cracks in the pavement, and then the whole hillside, saturated from winter storms, began to slough off and slide down. The county estimates the road has dropped roughly 11.5 feet since March. That's enough to swallow an average one-story home.
We estimate that it'll take about 1 to 3 years for us to fully repair Mountain Charlie Road. That road is still moving. It's moving about a little over 1 foot horizontally and 1 foot vertically a week.
Tiffany Martinez with Santa Cruz County says until the slide stops moving, they can't really come up with a plan or start repairs. And that's not the only challenge. The county frankly doesn't know where the money would come from to make the repairs.
There's a lot of uncertainty with the future of Mountain Charlie Road. Given the timeline is only an estimate, given the finances is still in the works.
That's frankly not the news that Amanda and her neighbors want to hear. The road grows worse by the day, and so too does their inconvenience and impatience. They fear that they are running out of time and options.
There's no way to get out. I mean, we'd have to carry everything or leave it. Nobody's going to rent the place. Nobody's going to buy the place. I mean, we're all stuck, all of us on both sides of this disaster.
The county is actively trying to get money from the state or federal government for those repairs. San Francisco has been on a mission to fill its empty office spaces. This comes after the office vacancy rate hit an all-time high of nearly 37% in the first quarter of this year. That's according to the real estate firm CBRE. One way to fill space, free rent for 3 months. It's called the Vacant to Vibrant program. It helps small businesses open pop-up shops in vacant storefronts downtown. 17 businesses have gotten free rent with the hopes of revitalizing the area. Now the city announced a new lineup of 8 additional local businesses that will be taking part in the program. The city has been showing some extra love to mom and pop shops this Small Business Week with workshops and other events to help business owners, because if they succeed, their whole neighborhood can thrive. That's the case with Elena's, which has been drawing a lot of new visitors to the West Portal neighborhood. The family that owns it is no stranger to the restaurant industry, but as Laureen Ayub shows us, they came up with a new concept that all started with a note from a beloved matriarch.
Welcome to Elena's Mexican restaurant, where an Italian family business has expanded into its Latin roots thanks to a passionate mama and her daughters.
At Elena's Mexican kitchen, flavor doesn't fall far from the tree. Elena Dugan and her daughters work together to create the newest Latin restaurant in San Francisco's West Portal neighborhood. As a mother of 3 daughters, she wanted the eatery to reflect her children's Mexican heritage while also adding new and vivacious culinary energy to the community.
Well, I wanted to create a space where people could feel at home, like they were in my home, that they could come in, relax, leave their worries at the door, and have a really nice time.
And creating nice times is something Elena and her family are quite good at. As the owner of the iconic Original Joe's, Elena knows the Italian food business well. But it was an emotional note from her mother-in-law which first prompted her to further explore the Mexican heritage of her daughters through their father.
I received a letter from my mother-in-law written in Spanish, and she asked if I could do one thing for her, and that would be to allow Catherine to learn how to understand and speak Spanish so that she could tell her how much she loved her. And so that's something that I tried to do.
And Elena not only enabled them to learn Spanish, but she opened a whole restaurant dedicated to their heritage. Each of her daughters have contributed to the process.
I feel trusted that she believes in us, and also it's just such a fun experience to help.
Traveling to Mexico to research spices from their hometown, Elena and her daughters have built a special bond through what started as a passion project.
Working with my mom has truly been something so special to me that I will forever be grateful for and have memories for a lifetime.
And the bustling new restaurant, with its long lines, is revitalizing the pandemic-affected West Portal district, offering a positive outlook for the community, says Katie Tank, director of the San Francisco Office of Small Business. As she hosts a small business pop-up, she believes the community's economic growth is all interconnected.
You know, I think with Elena's, not just for themselves, but really for the surrounding small business community in West Portal, when they can't get into Elena's, it spills over into the other businesses, and it just draws more people to the corridor. So overall, I think it's been just so great for the community, the neighborhood, and all of the other businesses in the area.
The restaurant, famous for its fresh coconut margaritas, has already garnered rapid success. But for Elena's family, it's the journey, not just the destination, that has touched their hearts.
Being able to give my mom input, I think, is a really amazing feeling. Like one day she'll ask me what I think of a dish that's going out, and the next day I go, boom, there it is. And this just gives me a feeling of empowerment, and it excites me for what the future holds. Because who knows, one day I could be running my own Elena's with my cousins and my sisters. So.
Running a business fueled by flavor, passion, and the pure love of family.
Today is the last day of San Francisco Small Business Week. Well, San Francisco has a vast variety of iconic homes, especially the Painted Ladies by Alamo Square Park. These Victorians are some of the most recognizable homes in the city. But check this one out. It's a painted lady that is unlike any you have seen before. It's called the Tetris house. Last year, the owners commissioned an artist to turn the outside of their Victorian into an ultra-modern, futuristic creation with blocks of bright colors. And the artist was more than up for that challenge.
It's really important to me to show respect for your city and your surroundings. I did my best to create a design that had some feeling of being really harmonious and really considerate of the architecture, while doing something super futuristic and really risky on the house.
Well, it took him about 4 weeks to create it, and it certainly turned out well. Coming up next, this place has been an oasis in the North Bay for decades, but all of that could slip away.
So many people find joy in this place. They thank me profusely.
The fight to keep a popular nursery alive.
Today's an interesting day in that some of us are really going to cool down. Half Moon Bay, it's going to be 11 degrees cooler today than it was yesterday. San Francisco, it'll be 5 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. If we look at those numbers, that puts you in the mid-70s for San Francisco and 66 in Half Moon Bay. But look inland. Not only are we not cooling down today for inland valleys, because you're not really getting the benefit of this marine layer which has come back. That's really limited just to the coast. So inland, you're still doing 90s. And just to show you the vantage point on that, you're actually going to be about 4 degrees or so warmer, 5 degrees warmer in Livermore today than you were yesterday, and it'll be about a degree or two warmer in the Santa Clara Valley.
Investigators in Hayward are still trying to determine the cause of a fire that broke out in the middle of a neighborhood yesterday. It burned cars and fence lines and even spread to trees. But when our chopper got to the chance to fly over the flames, we saw a neighborhood working together. These neighbors turned into amateur firefighters and ran over with fire hoses, watering things down to stop it from spreading. When fire crews arrived, they managed to get things under control, and the fire didn't burn any homes. But as you can see here, it did destroy several cars in the neighborhood. It happened in the area of Poppywood Court and Silverthorne Place. No word yet on how the fire started. In the North Bay, a 7.5-acre property with a botanical garden and a nursery is up for sale, and the owner had hoped he wouldn't have to part ways with the land that he loves. So as Andrea Nakano explains, he's hoping the right buyer will come along to help keep it alive.
Welcome to the Hidden Forest Nursery in Sebastopol.
This is a particularly special one, Magnolia wilsonii.
Mike Boss left his award-winning landscaping business in San Francisco and bought this property in 2017.
And I was living in paradise. My dream was coming true.
Boss's love for nature started at a very young age.
I'd mow the lawn 20 times rather than vacuum the rug.
So when the opportunity to buy this place came up, he dove in with every dollar he had. Unfortunately, he fell on tough times. Business plummeted as he dealt with fires, the pandemic, the drought, and floods. He tried to hang on as long as he could.
So many people find joy in this place. They thank me profusely. I'm the hero of a lot of people in this county.
But now a for sale sign sits at the entrance of his home, a 7.5-acre property with a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house for $2.5 million.
It may be time for the next chapter of my life, which I thought that this was going to be my final chapter, but nope. The story gets rewritten.
Boss knows he has to sell, but he's hoping a corporate sponsor or a philanthropist with deep pockets will be interested in taking over the land. Best case scenario, Boss would be able to stay to run the nursery.
There's still time for that Hail Mary pass to be thrown and caught.
There's been an outpouring of support from the community to help Boss hang on to his property.
Everything is for sale, and we're having a great plant sale. It's buy one, get one free on almost everything. I want to move stock.
He's grateful for the support, but says it's only helping him buy time to find the right buyer.
It's been bittersweet. It's like, how come, if the traffic that I've been getting now was here for all 6 years, I wouldn't be in the position I was.
Boss will miss the beauty and diversity of the plants, the sounds of the birds chirping, and the serenity of this property. If he has to leave, he would send a simple message to the next owners.
I would tell them, I hope you love this place as much as I do, and respect it and enjoy it.
Hidden Forest is officially on the market, and Mike says there has already been a lot of interest in the property. Coming up, trash inspectors in the South Bay are checking bins and rating how well people are recycling there.
Well, we see some non-recyclable paper, plastic wrap. This is an oops, yeah.
The pilot program to clear up confusion about what goes in what bin.
going to start changing things up today temperature-wise if you're near the coast or in the city. Look at daytime highs today. Going back to 75 or 76 for San Francisco and 66 in Half Moon Bay. Those numbers don't stand out on their own, but they are significantly different than where you were yesterday. It's an 11-degree drop for Half Moon Bay today. You were 77 yesterday. And San Francisco, you'll be 5 degrees cooler than yesterday's 81. However, look at the rest of the bay. You actually warm up if you're inland. Look at those numbers over there. For inland Contra Costa County, you'll be about 4 or 5 degrees warmer today. Look at the numbers down in the Tri-Valley. You're going to be just about 5 degrees warmer than you were yesterday. Look at the Santa Clara Valley. Those numbers are going to be about 2 degrees or so warmer. We'll put some actual daytime highs on those, and you can see that means you're pretty much going right back up to 90s again for daytime highs. So that's where things stand in terms of the temperatures for today. Let's take a look at the 7-day forecast, get an idea on what happens next. And if we know that today is just a little warmer than yesterday for our inland microclimates. You've got that 90 over here. Saturday's not all that different, but then you will cool down. And by the time we get into early next week, temperatures will have come back down to pretty much average.
As Californians, we are known to be environmentally conscious, but here is the real head scratcher even for us. 95% have been recycling, but only 30% of recyclables actually get recycled. Most of it ends up in the landfill. So in today's project, Earth, Ann Makovic explains how one Bay Area city is not flipping its lid. City staff have decided to flip yours.
Anthony Santamaria is a man on a mission. Early in the morning, he flips the lids of dozens of recycling bins.
Well, we see some non-recyclable paper, plastic wrap.
Anthony is part of a new pilot program run by the city of San Jose. The idea? To eyeball the contents of curbside bins on collection day to give residents a little feedback as to why now.
We are seeing a lot of increase in unacceptable materials in the recycling carts that are non-recyclable or either recyclable materials that are too dirty to recycle.
Contaminated bins are on the rise, the city's director of environmental sciences explains.
So a recycling cart becomes contaminated when the wrong materials are in it, particularly liquids and food, because then they spread out on the paper and other products in the cart that make it so we can't recycle it anymore.
If they can't be recycled, the item ends up in a landfill where the food and drink slowly rot, creating methane, a powerful greenhouse gas.
And it also impacts rates. So the more that we have garbage in the recycling cart, the more the program costs, which means the more the rates go up for our community.
Back to the bins. Stickers get attached to each cart, either a green good job or a red oops with tips on how to do better.
This is an oops. Yeah.
Oops is sort of semi-humorous. It's not that negative. From my perspective, it's far more effective, the light touch, than the negative touch.
Dr. David Spiegel is an expert in human behavior at Stanford School of Medicine. He applauds San Jose's approach, especially the added visual tips.
If on top of that, you show people how to do it, you feel a part of the team rather than part of the problem.
As for the locals,
I think it's good.
San Jose resident Dirk Leondek with his 2 kids, Benjamin and Amelia.
I think it's a good way to help the citizens of San Jose doing a better job.
The family will soon move back to the Netherlands, where the recycling rate is 80% compared to San Jose's 57%.
They need to continue this initiative like for next couple of months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Continue to educate people, and then if you see a change, that's a perfect result of the project.
It is a work in progress.
Out of all the ones I tagged, I believe there were 2 good jobs. I tagged 85.
The hope? To make recycling as simple and easy as child's play.
So if you want to change your recycling habits and do better, go to kpix.com to check out a list of items that aren't recyclable and usually end up in the trash. The Oakland Zoo has reached new heights, you could say, adding this 10-foot guide to their family. It's a 13-month-old giraffe that arrived in Oakland all the way from New Orleans. The zoo says he's still getting used to his new home and will soon meet his 5 other giraffe mates. The zoo is also holding an online poll to pick a name for him. The choices are between these 3 Swahili names, Enzi, Nuru, and Kovu. You can vote on the zoo's Facebook and Instagram pages. Thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Sean Chitness. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories. I'm Sean Chitness, and this is The Minute. BART service is suspended on the Red Line between the Richmond and MacArthur stations. The agency says it's due to an equipment problem. It all started around 5:45 this morning. No word yet when service will be restored. The blue, green, and yellow lines are not impacted. President Joe Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden are in the Bay Area today. They're here to raise money at 2 campaign fundraisers. The president will be in Portola Valley this afternoon and later in Palo Alto. Then he heads to Seattle. And the Port of Oakland is countersuing San Francisco over the name change at Oakland Airport. They made it official yesterday, rebranding it as San Francisco Bay Oakland International Airport. San Francisco City Attorney sued, saying it infringes on SFO's trademark. Don't miss the Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 on the all-new Pix Plus 44 Cable 12.
We started to notice a change today thanks to the marine layer having built in just along the coast and in through the Golden Gate today. It does have a big influence on daytime highs if you live along the coast or even in the city today. Going to 66 degrees in Half Moon Bay, and that is a 76 for San Francisco. Those numbers don't really stand out all that much until you take into consideration it was 77 degrees yesterday in Half Moon Bay, and it was 81 yesterday in San Francisco. So you're going to feel a cool down if you live anywhere near the water, but look inland. You don't really notice much of a change. Not only that, you're actually going to warm up. Concord, Antioch, Livermore, Fremont, even Redwood City, you guys actually see your numbers climb a few degrees today as a result of still being under the influence of the center of high pressure overhead. So your numbers are still in the upper 80s. There is some help coming though, and we'll see that as we get into the 7-day forecast. By Sunday, the numbers that are inland are going to start coming back down. And even along the coast, everybody's going to get a noticeable cool down over the next few days. So let's put it into a 7-day forecast, and we'll come away with a perspective on the change. You need to wait for Sunday if you're inland and you want to see the numbers really become noticeably cooler, because for the next few days, you're pretty much right in the same spot. But by Sunday, you're down to the low 80s. By Monday and Tuesday, your numbers are back to pretty much average. We may warm up a little bit by the middle of next week. So that's a look at the inland microclimate. Let's switch this out now, and we'll take a look at the 7-day forecast for the Bay. And as we do that, you'll notice that the difference is similar in terms of the trend. By Sunday, you're noticeably cooler, back down into the low 60s, and you'll pretty much stay there going through the remainder of the 7-day forecast from then on.
E-bikes are everywhere these days, but as most riders turn to electric pedal power, concerns are growing about crashes and injuries. The good thing about e-bikes, they're good for the environment and exercise, and they encourage people to ditch their cars. Just last month, Berkeley's mayor hopped on to celebrate an expansion in parts of Alameda County. But according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, injuries related to electric bikes, scooters, and hoverboards have risen about 23% each year since 2017. Now state lawmakers are pushing forward to add some restrictions, potentially banning kids under 16 from hopping on. But as our Kenny Choi reports, they're at a crossroads with communities hoping to pump the brakes on that bill.
They're quiet, environmentally friendly, and the fastest way for high school senior Elias to get from place to place.
I find that it's a lot easier and more reliable to have your own form of transportation like a bike.
Officials at Tamalpais Union School District and state lawmakers are considering restrictions that would make it illegal for anyone under the age of 16 to ride Class 2 e-bikes, bikes that are throttle assisted and can accelerate to more than 20 miles per hour with modifications.
I understand the safety concerns, but I think that it's a bad idea because it's a great form of transportation for younger people who cannot drive.
Elias has been riding her e-bike for years. So has Colin, who started riding when he was 13 years old. Both of their bikes can't go above 20 miles per hour. They think the proposed restrictions under Assembly Bill 1778 are an overreach.
I make sure the signal look behind me. I stop at stop signs, look both ways. I think it just depends on the kid's knowledge of road safety.
State Assembly member Damon Connolly authored the bill with amendments so local counties would have the choice to opt in or out.
A lot of folks are observing, lack of following the rules of the road, riding without a helmet, 2 or 3 kids to a bike.
Connolly believes educating parents and more awareness of the various classes of e-bikes with increasing speed capabilities and modifications are part of the solution to address sometimes fatal collisions.
Even just getting this word out, folks have become more educated around it, some of the pros and cons of buying e-bikes for younger kids in particular.
A report by the Marin County Health Department looking at 1 month's worth of data last year showed that 71% of responses for all bike accidents among 10 to 19-year-olds were e-bike related. Elias's younger brother was hit by a car.
He got hit by a much bigger car that couldn't see him on his bike, but I don't think that's an issue of an e-bike or how fast he was going. It was an issue of a big car not being able to see a smaller kid.
Connolly says he's not against e-bikes as a whole, but wants restrictions for only Class 2 e-bikes.
This one has quickly risen to the top of things we're hearing directly from people about.
It's really just a matter of respect, really. I think obviously wear a helmet and follow the laws.
E-bikers like Elias believe families can make those decisions on their own.
The bill recently passed in the Assembly and is now headed to the Senate. It's unclear if Marin County will opt into the new rules and regulations if the bill is ultimately signed into law. The superintendent of the Tamalpais Union High School District said in a statement she supports any law that would clarify what counts as an e-bike that could be operated without a driver's license. President Joe Biden is in town today raising money at 2 campaign receptions here in the Bay Area. He touched down in San Francisco at the Marina Green yesterday evening, with First Lady Jill Biden flying into SFO about 2 hours earlier. The president is attending a reception in Portola Valley this afternoon. We're told it's at the home of a venture capitalist billionaire. The other is in Palo Alto. The former CEO of Yahoo, Marissa Mayer, is hosting that one.
The Biden team knows that this is going to be a record-setting time in terms of raising dollars for this presidential election, the most important presidential election since perhaps maybe 1860. And you know that Donald Trump and his team are going to raise a lot of money. And in that process, you're going to have record-setting events. So they come in, they drop a lot of dollars, they drop in very quickly, and then try to get out with those checks. They want to set records. And that's because what matters in the California ATM is money, cash, dollars.
After those receptions, President Biden will make his way up north to Seattle for another fundraiser tonight at 7. President Biden has traveled to the Bay Area multiple times over the last year to fill up the campaign coffers. And as the president makes his rounds fundraising, anti-war protesters continue to call on universities to be transparent with money being sent overseas. All this while graduation is just days away. Our chopper spotted those tents at several campuses here in the Bay Area, including UC Berkeley, SF State, and Stanford. But despite all that, university officials are saying commencement ceremonies will still go on. Berkeley, Stanford, and SF State ceremonies remain on schedule. Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, they are known as the Navy SEALs of firefighting. So what does it take to belong to this elite squad? We get an up-close look at the smoke jumpers in action. And a controversial change is coming to your power bill. The details on a new flat fee. Plus, 2 night markets in one evening in San Francisco, how one celebrates South Asian culture with a personal touch.
I feel lucky to sit with brilliant women every morning who are helping me to level up body, mind, heart, and soul.
There is energy and good mornings and hello, how's your day started? It's just a really nice vibe and a really fun way to wake up.
It's rejuvenating, honestly, having a team that's excited about news and storytelling.
It is so fun to laugh and to say, look, there is a lighter side to life.
They're like my new best friends.
Wake up with the Morning Edition, weekdays on KPIX.